Welcome back to the 5th video in our virtual guitar mastery series, and in this video we're continuing looking at dual guitar parts. I'm going to show you how to combine open power chords with triad based motifs to create some really cool sounding parts. Now in the first part we'll start off by playing around with power chords for the first 3 chords, and then we'll add a cool melodic line at the end to give it some extra spice and flavor. In the second part we're going to take a repetitive motif played around the G major triad. I'm going to show you how you can use the same melody line over 3 different chords, and then at the end we'll be doubling the melody line we played with the first part. Now by the end of this video you'll have a deeper understanding of how to use power chords and triad based motifs to create some dynamic and interesting sounding worship guitar parts. And don't forget, as always, you can grab the tab and track bundle by clicking the link in the video description below, so you can follow along and practice all these parts at your own pace with the tabs and the custom-made backing track. Alright, so now you've just heard another 2 parts together. Still the same progression, G, E minor, C, D. And what I did here is the first part played these open power chords, and then the second part had that high melodic motif. So what is an open power chord? Well, an open power chord is simply a power chord that makes use of open strings, like G5, E5, and C5. All 3 of those chords had open power chords. Now, I could have played G5, E5, and C5. Nothing wrong, but it doesn't quite have the same brightness when I played with open strings. Listen to this G versus this G5. So that brightness really stands out. And it's simply a G chord, but I don't play the A string because I don't want the 3rd in there. That's going to sound too muddy. Listen to this. I'm going to mute that 3rd. So I'm trim some of the fat of this G voicing. So that's this G5 by muting the A string. And then when I play E5, it looks exactly like an E minor, but I'm not playing the open G string. If I were to play the open G string, it sounds like this. It just clutters that voicing up a little bit, whereas if I remove the open G string by muting it with my 3rd finger, it growls a lot more and it doesn't have that minor 3rd kind of muddying things up. Okay, I'll show you the rhythm shortly. And then for C, it's like a normal C chord, but as you guessed it, I'm not going to play the 3rd, which is the E note there. If I do, it sounds like this. Which I've got a 3rd here and there. So I'm going to get rid of the low E by muting the D string with my 3rd finger. And I'm going to add my pinky on the 3rd fret to take away the open E string. So now I have C5. C, G, C, G. Now these 3 chords together, G5, E5, and C5. Now the rhythm that I played there was 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. So think of drums. You have the kick drum on 1, and you can have a snare hit on the and of 2, so that it's like the thud of the kick and the crack of the snare, that contrasting tones that you get, you can mimic that with the guitar. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... So a little bit of a drum thing going on there with a kick and a snare, mimicking that on the guitar. And then I'm also using some raking, which means instead of just playing 1 and 2 and, which is fine. 1 and 2 and. What I'm doing is I'm actually doing 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. So I'm kind of raking my pick across the strings to get a bit of a percussive hit going there, first of all. And it's kind of the same as a drummer when they play with a snare. They can either just hit the snare drum on its own, or they can hit the side of the snare drum together with the hit. So then it just kind of gives you like a more impactful sound. So this is one of those things you don't want to overuse on the guitar. But when the time is right and you want to dig into the strings, you want to get some percussive hits added to your chords there, I really like that. It gets you to really kind of make a bit of a statement with that power chord riff that works when you're kind of building in a song and it needs some, just to go up another gear. So this is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So you really have to work on your string muting to make sure that it's clean. You don't want to play the notes that I showed you earlier to mute. You don't want those to ring out because it's just going to sound a little bit too muddy. Now for the fourth bar, I'm playing a melody. It's a descending melody using the G major scale, which is just 5, 4 on the G, 7, 5, 4 on the D. So 5, 4, 7, 5, 4. And the rhythm is 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4. We've looked at a similar rhythm in a previous part that we've looked at. So down, up, down, up, down. That's how I'm playing the notes with my pick. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4. And it's a nice contrast with the fat power chords that I've just played. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. Repeat that. 1 and a 2 and 3 and 4 and. And you can add a bit of vibrato again. Don't overdo it. Once you start overusing techniques like the rakes or vibrato and stuff like that, it kind of sounds like you're writing in all caps all the time, and that just looks like you're screaming at someone the whole time. So you want to use these things sparingly when you want to make that point. So that was our first part, the power chords, open power chords with the descending melodic line. Then over that, I did an overdub for the second guitar part, which is a melodic motif based around a G triad. And as you can see, that just looks like a D chord, but it's played over here on the 7th fret, so 7, 8, 7. That is my area that I'm playing in here now for the G chord. Now this is similar to a previous part where you try and keep things the same over different chords, because that, while the notes stay the same, the chords are changing, which means it changes the sound of the notes that you are playing. So even though you play the same notes, the sound changes slightly because of the context that you're playing it over. There's that saying that says, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change, right? So it's kind of the same with your notes here. When you play the same notes over different chords, those notes will start to sound different. Okay, so the part here was this. A 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4. So that's my rhythm. A 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4. So I've got what's known as a pedal tone, which is my 7th fret here. So 7, 8, 7, 10, 7, 8. And in this case, I actually want my notes to ring over each other. Do you remember with some of the previous parts when I had like, we don't want these notes to ring over each other, you want them to be separate. But in this case, I actually want them to ring over each other. And I'm coming back down to that pedal tone every time. Then I do the same, so that was over the G. I did the same over the E. The same over the C. So as you can see, the notes change every time. When I'm playing it over G, This is a fifth, the root, the ninth, and the third. When I play it over E minor, this is a flat 7, the minor third, the fourth, and the fifth. When I play it over the C, this is a ninth, the fifth, the sixth, and the seventh. So I have the same motif played over different chords, and that's why it changes slightly as you go on. So a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E. Repeat it. And then I just double the melody line that I played earlier down an octave. So instead of 5, 4, 7, 5, 4, I have 8, 7, 10, 8, 7 with exactly the same rhythm. So as you can see, this is a way that you can, if you have a 2-guitar setup in your church, it's a cool way that you can distribute parts between each other. One guitar goes low, other guitar goes high, and then both double the melody, which in essence sounds like this. But if you play it as an octave, it sounds different than when both guitarists play it separately. Basically just playing the octave melody together. All right, so let's go ahead, and now that you know the inner workings of these open power chords with a descending melody, as well as the melodic motif that stays the same over 3 chords and then doubling the melody up the octave, let's go ahead and play both guitars together again so you can see and hear it in action. Now, as you finish watching this video, don't forget that you can grab the tabs and the tracks and get access to our special interactive videos featuring animated tabs and fretboards. All the videos in this bundle are powered with the SoundSlice technology in our Worship Guitar Skills Academy, and these living sheet music resources will really take your practice routine to the next level and make it way more effective. You'll be able to practice along with my recording using the special hybrid video and music notation player. So all you need to do is press play and then watch as the notes light up and sync up with the video. This will give you a deeper understanding of all the different concepts and techniques covered in this video. It will really help you to craft killer worship guitar parts with ease. So if you're interested in checking out the tab and track bundle for this specific lesson and also supporting our channel, check out the link in the description for more information.